Hi friends, let me begin with introducing myself. So my name is Dhruv Gupta. I've been born and brought up in Delhi. I am married and I have a daughter who's 15 years old as of now in 2024. So today I would like to share with you my own personal experience, my own personal story of how I use this law, the law of attraction, or how careful you have to be when you use such laws which are very high in vibration. You have to know the subtle nuances of how to tune into the energies of using these laws. So I'll share with you my own personal story. So right after my graduation, I was preparing for my MBA, and during that time, I used to study a lot at home, and I had some extra time, and I started spending that time in helping my mother, who was running a boutique as a hobby for herself. And just after a couple of months, when I started putting energies there, just organizing the work for her, the work grew. And by the year end, I realized, why not take this as a career for myself? Because the work was growing, the work was interesting. It was also enhancing my own creativity, and I was very happy expressing that. And I started joining her work. And a couple of years later from there, the work grew, and I was ambitious, like so many of us when we're young, we're ambitious. And I read this book, which was called The Law of Attraction, or a book like The Secret. And each of these books which I read, they spoke of one thing, of how to use this law. That everything which you see in future and you want that, start visualizing it. Start seeing as if you already own it, or that you project yourself that you will get it. So I started doing that. And every time, every day, in every moment, I started living the dream which I had. And at that point of time, I remember, we had a small unit which was approximately around 2000 square feet. And according to my own limited consciousness, I thought if I become 10 times from here, or 20,000 square feet, a big factory, I will be happy. I think I will have arrived in my life. And that was my only goal at that point of time. So I started working very hard. I started just thinking about this goal. Every thought, my entire consciousness was filled with this vision of having that big factory. And I started visualizing it in minutest of details, how the factory would be, or how the offices would be, where the people would be working, and everything. And things started unfolding. I was attracting a lot of opportunities. The business was growing. I got an opportunity of applying to a land, and we got that land. And 7 years from there, in around 2010, I was able to manifest the factory which I always had dreamt of. The way I had sketched it, the way I had visualized it. But then when I got that factory, I was not very happy at that point of time, because I had taken so many loans. My loans were up to the brim, from friends, from family, from the banks, and the situation changed a bit at that point of time. The business which had to come to run such a big setup was not there in the market. And at that point of time, I was really heartbroken. It was a treacherous period for myself. And I realized what went wrong. That was the only thing which I had asked God for, and I wasn't happy. I was tense, I was stressed, I was very anxious, the constant phone calls of people and debtors whom I had to pay to. And it was during those times that I moved on to the path of spirituality. And, I moved with a book called Who Will Cry When You Die. It was by Robin Sharma. And I really liked that author. I read a lot of books of him. One was The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari and Mega Living. And two books rather, he really suggested for every reader of his to read. One was My Experiments with Truth by Mahatma Gandhi, and the second was Bhagavad Gita. So I was very enamored by the author, and I thought, okay, let me start with the Experiments of Truth, because at that point of time, Bhagavad Gita really seemed very far off from my knowledge. So I got the Experiments of Truth. And again, Mahatma Gandhi, in all his trials and every challenge which he faced in life, and to the extent when he was in the jail, he said the only book which he went back to understand and to face those challenges and to get that strength was the Bhagavad Gita. So I said to myself, okay, these two authors whom I really admired at that point of time, if they are talking of this book, the Bhagavad Gita, I should really read it. So I got the Bhagavad Gita as it is. And it took me 2 years to complete this book and to really understand whatever I could understand at that point of time. And I came across this one phrase in this book which was about Kriya Yoga. And Krishna says in this book that even a little practice of this inward religion can save you from dire fears and colossal suffering. And it's not just mentioned in one place, it's mentioned in a couple of places. And I was like, oh my God, what is this? It sounds so big and sounds so far away from you. And I was like, I wish you had something like this which could have helped me at that point of time to face these challenges. Anyways, I forgot about it. And I had another book at that point of time, which was the autobiography of a yogi, which was lying with me from a long time. And I was just flipping through the pages of this book and I came across this chapter on Kriya Yoga. And it just struck to me that this was the word, just a couple of months back, I was really pondering on. I read that book, I went through the chapter, and I was like so sure, I wish I can get these teachings or get this technique which can help me at that point of time. And in my search, I Googled and everything, and that's how I came to Ananda, which is founded by Swami Kriyananda, who's a direct disciple of Paramhansa Yogananda. Swamiji has written more than 150 books. And one of the books which I read on my path when I joined Ananda at that point of time there was a beautiful story in that book which goes something like this. So there's a person who dies and he reaches heaven. There he's greeted by Saint Peter. So Saint Peter says, oh, welcome my child, you have good karma and you are invited here in heaven. So let me give you a round of this place. So man is happy, they go around and they see beautiful landscapes, this beautiful palace. And they suddenly, at the end of the tour, they come to this huge, big hall, which is like a warehouse. And there are a lot of beautiful things kept over there. So this person asks Saint Peter, so what is this place? So Saint Peter says, oh my son, this is a heavenly junkyard. So this person is very intrigued and he asks, what is a heavenly junkyard? Saint Peter says, everything which people on earth refuse to accept from God, we keep it here. So he's like, okay, and he looks around and he sees a lot of beautiful things. He sees a piano, he sees bikes. Suddenly his eyes fall on a big golden colored Rolls Royce. So this guy says, oh my God, Saint Peter, who would actually refuse to accept a gift like this? So Saint Peter says, oh my son, it's very intriguing that you asked this question. Actually, that person was you. So this guy said, no, Saint Peter, I was never offered this Rolls Royce. Kata son, whenever we came to your consciousness to give you those ideas, to give you those solutions so that you may be able to attract a big car like this, you were so fixed upon asking for that red Volkswagen and we didn't want to deny you, my child. So we gave you that red Volkswagen. I read this story and I was thinking, wow, this is exactly what I was doing with myself. I was so fixed on asking for that big red factory that God did give me that red factory. He did make me the owner of that factory, but I was not happy at that point of time. So I realized that I was trying to tune into something which is a grosser level of manifestation. When I moved forward on the path, I read the books of Paramahansa Yogananda, where he really talks about how our energy and consciousness is under another law, which is called the law of creation. And the law of creation begins with something absolutely high, just as a motionless consciousness. And when that consciousness vibrates a bit to create something, it creates first a universe of thoughts and ideas, which we call the causal universe. From there, when it vibrates a little more and becomes more dense, it creates an astral universe, a universe of light and energy. And finally, when it condenses further down and creates this physical universe. And this is how everything actually is manifested in this physical plane. In these scriptures, which were written thousands of years back, they had proven that matter is a manifestation of energy. And recently, let's say in the beginning of 20th century, Einstein also proved the same thing when he came out with the theory of relativity, where he said energy is a combination of matter and the speed of light, and the formula was energy is equal to mc squared. But with the same formula, if we see and we rewrite the equation, then we write matter is a combination of energy and the speed of light. So matter actually is a manifestation of energy, or you can say energy is the underlying reality of that matter. Let me share an example with you. So today, if you're an architect and you want to make a building, so the first and the primary thing is that you have to think of what you want to make. You may want to make a building or a flat or a farmhouse. So in your consciousness, whatever will come, that will be the idea. And from that idea, you will start putting in energies in terms of preparing a blueprint for the same thing. You will start putting in energies to garner the resources in terms of finance, in terms of the architect and the interior person who will come and make this. And finally, as you move down from this plane of energy, you come to the final physical manifestation, where he will be putting that building together. But if that person wants to change something and he's on the physical plane, he'll have to actually break everything and redo things. But if he's on the energy plane, which I said is a far more intelligent plane, he can change his ideas in terms of if he wants to shift a room from here to this place, he can easily do it by changing it in his drawings. That's why we say that energy plane is far more intelligent than the physical plane. And when you tune into that energy plane, which is the reality behind matter, you tune into something far more intelligent, which will take care of your happiness, it will take care of your prosperity, and it will be more wholesome and more fulfilling. So what I was doing wrong was, I was using a higher consciousness in terms of my thoughts, my energies, my ideas and plans to attract something that was on a lower plane, which was a gross physical building. Today, if you ask me then what to do, then I would say at this point of time, if you want to attract anything in life, then look for the energy beneath that thing. Because everything in this physical plane, whether this is the mic which I'm speaking to, the lights which I have here, or even this chair, everything is a manifestation of energy. So look for the energy behind that object. In terms of factory, I should have seen myself as a prosperous businessman. I should have seen a running factory, everyone working happily in that factory, and I should have seen myself successful. So even if you want to attract, say, a car, do not think of that red Volkswagen. Think of the utility that car provides. Think and see yourself happily traveling in that car. See yourself enjoying in that car, and the car is providing service to you. Even if you want to attract wealth, do not think of any fixed amount in your mind. Think of yourself as a rich person, a prosperous person, a successful person, using that money, helping others with that money, giving employment. That's the way to attract things in this life. So we would be going into these things later on in my next episode, where will I actually be talking about other aspects and what are the aspects underlying this law of attraction, which we also call magnetism, and how to develop this strong magnetism. There's a very beautiful science around this, and I hope to see you and look forward to you. I think I will be coming out with that video next week, and I hope you enjoy it and learn from something from my journey. Thank you.